Getting into an argument with a person we love most can be very painful, confusing, and even give us a temporary sense of hopelessness. When we feel tension and distance, and even question if our partner still loves us or cares for us, or will be there for us, that can really hurt our hearts. If you've been in a relationship for more than a few weeks, you know what I'm talking about. So today I'm excited to share 7 steps to help you stay connected even when you disagree and your conversation starts to heat up. Hello, I'm Alex Avila, couples therapist and licensed professional counselor. If you're new to my channel and you want to see more videos to help you strengthen your most important relationship on earth, click subscribe below and click the notification bell so you don't miss out. When we're in a tense conversation, practicing these 7 steps can help prevent a lot of unnecessary escalation. When we crank up the volume in our voice, show intense body language, and speak in a hurtful tone, we're starting to break down our emotional connection. So let's get into the 7 steps for taking a break so you and your partner can still feel close to each other even during conflict. Step number 1, be aware of when you need a break to calm down. Calling a timeout or break is necessary when we're stuck, when our emotions are escalating, we're not able to show up for each other, and when further discussion of an issue is not constructive. When we feel defensive, our first reaction is not usually our best response. Maybe this will help you remember that. Our first response may be our worst response. And did you know that responding is different than reacting? Responding happens after we've calmed ourselves. As soon as we're able to soothe our emotions and relax the tension in our body, we're then able to access the reasoning part of our brain that helps us see the bigger picture and helps us speak in a kinder tone. Or our intelligent brain informs us to say nothing at all. One helpful phrase that I began using a few years ago is slowing down to ask myself this question: are the words that are going to leave my mouth right now going to help or harm my relationship with my wife? And then I realized soon after, if I had to ask myself this question, I'm probably going to be better off just keeping my mouth closed for a bit. And I can tell you, I've prevented a lot of unnecessary pain in my marriage relationship that would have easily turned into negative relationship memories. Okay, on to step number 2. Use we or I language. Telling your partner that we or I should take a break is so important to kick off this process effectively. Saying you need to cool down doesn't usually work well. Instead, we might say we don't seem to be getting anywhere. We're spinning our wheels and getting more and more upset. I'm afraid we'll say or do things that we'll regret. Can we please come back to this after we've both had a little time to rest and reset? Much better than telling someone they're out of control or being irrational, right? But just a quick tip on the word we. It's not usually a good idea to say, wow, someone needs to chill out, or we need to think rationally about this. Because depending on the tone, that will likely be heard as you're being irrational. So as always, our tone is very important. All right, step number 3, name the time to reconvene. Many times, taking a timeout doesn't work because we may have shown a pattern of running away from tense arguments and never coming back to discuss or resolve the issue. So if you're the one calling the break, in this step, you're reassuring the other person that you're not simply avoiding or sweeping this issue under the rug. Come back to the discussion as soon as you both can and after you've taken the following steps. Although some issues may require more than 24 hours to process, don't wait too long. Maybe you can even work up to coming back after 30 minutes or within 3 hours. But do your best to build a reliable track record of keeping this important appointment with each other. Now on to step number 4. Move to your own area and relax. You also can be in the same room to do this. Actually, you may be able to maintain a greater sense of connection when you're still near each other, but still taking your own time to relax and reset. But sometimes you may need a little more space from each other. A few things that work for some people include breathing deeply, You can try this for 2 minutes or 10 minutes, going for a brief walk, or taking a bath or shower. There's something about changing the temperature of your body by taking a shower or changing the environment by stepping outdoors for a few minutes that can really help you get a fresh perspective. Some other things people do are listening to music that calms them, praying, or exercising. Do what you know helps you to relax and reset yourself. When your nervous system is calm, you can now better access the part of your brain involved in making better decisions. Then you can be better prepared to demonstrate more sincere empathy. And that brings us to step number 5, thinking about the other person's perspective. This is the empathy step. When we try our best to get into someone else's shoes for just a few minutes to see how they're feeling, we can really experience a powerful connection. I have another video that I'll link up in the description about empathy and validation. Since showing empathy is so vital for our relationships, we need all the help we can get. So you may want to invite God or a friend into this step to help you better understand your partner. And we really need to slow down here and start thinking about our partner. If we know they had a rough day, didn't get much sleep, or if they're hungry or feeling irritated, consider how all that can affect how they're reacting and showing up in that moment. When we have a lot of stressors and unmet physiological needs, it can really impact our ability to be present and effective in our conversations. So if more than one of these things are going on, sometimes we just need to decompress, rest, or just eat something. We're often easily irritated when we haven't eaten, and sometimes we just need to go to bed. For many of us, our ability to process through conflict late into the evening can really suffer. And so a night's sleep can do wonders to helping you get a break and re-engage in the conversation the next day with a fresh approach. Okay, step number 6 is own your negative contribution to the interaction. When breaks have not gone well for us in the past, it could be because we've skipped this important step. If we've taken a break from conflict and then both went into our respective corners and then started searching for more evidence of why we're right and the other person's wrong, we've been on our way to escalating the situation. Because when we come back to the discussion, we're probably going to use this evidence to prove our point, that it's all our partner's fault. And if they would just do this or not do that, we'd be just fine. So in this step, we're honestly reflecting on the issue and this most recent discussion. But this time, we're going to think about what our part was in the interaction. Did I raise my voice? Was my tone mean or demeaning? We might try to replicate our facial expression in the mirror and ask ourselves, could my face or body language be interpreted as scary, overbearing, dismissive, aggressive, or even oppressive? Taking responsibility squashes blaming and invites hope. If we don't have to spend energy trying to explain or defend our position, and both of us take responsibility in the moment, we no longer have to go looking for who's to blame. And this frees up space in our hearts and minds and can produce an immediate sense of relief and connection. All right, I'm glad you're hanging in there. Now, on to the final step. Step number 7 is returning to the subject. After both of you were able to spend sufficient time doing the above steps, share your own thoughts about how you may have contributed negatively to the interaction. Share with each other what it was like to get into the other person's shoes. You might say something like, I can see how this conversation became so important to you, or how you could get so frustrated because you had such a long day at work. Or, I know this is a tough topic for you. Or you could say, it makes sense that you walked away because I raised my voice and my tone was mean. You might check in with each other to see how close you were to what your partner was actually feeling. If the timing is right, this type of conversation also sets the stage to share a genuine apology in the words and in the way that your partner will accept. If we do share an apology here, a more specific apology, which is much more than just saying I'm sorry, can be very effective. We also want to avoid demanding on-the-spot forgiveness. There usually needs to be a long space after I'm sorry and before the phrase, "Will you forgive me?" Forgiveness itself can be a process, depending on the hurt and the history. It's also important to realize that full agreement on every issue is unrealistic. Expect that you will need to return to some issues repeatedly. The main point to remember is that you can hear each other along the way, and even when you disagree, you can still feel like you're connected and respected. There you go. Consider trying out these steps. I know if you're both following the same guidelines, you'll both feel better about taking some time to reset, knowing that you'll come back to the discussion and it will go better than it has in the past. Some people may not appreciate taking a timeout or a break because the breaks have been misused or overused in the past. So you'll both want to be aware of and follow these steps to reassure each other that your future breaks will in fact be breaks and not attempts to avoid, forget, or sweep important issues under the rug. Well, I'm excited you're taking steps to strengthen your most important relationship. If you know someone who will find this helpful, make sure you share it to your favorite social media platforms. Until next time, I hope you have a great day and take care of yourselves and each other.